Broadcasting with Ed Shockey.
Thank you, Tom Moran. My special guest today on Pioneers in Broadcasting is Dean Tyler. You have the checks in the mail, Tom. Thank you. Hi, Dean.
Hi, Ed.
Well, you've just been honored. You've been inducted into the Pioneers in Broadcasting Hall of Fame. How do you feel?
I feel, well, actually, today was my birthday and my wedding anniversary, and so it's pretty cool. What a great party. I mean, I love it.
Who's this guy over here watching?
That's my grandson, Logan Singer.
All right, there you go. Hi, Logan.
Hi, Logan.
Dean, you've had an amazing career in broadcasting. You affected my life because when I was about 17, you became one of the Wibbage good guys.
That's right, I did.
Now, you had done some other stuff around the area in college, right?
Yeah, I started while I was in college in Wilmington, Delaware. I was at the University of Delaware. And I just sort of fell into it. You know, it was like I was going to be a veterinarian, but I loved broadcasting. And next thing I knew, I had a career.
A lot of us fell into it in similar ways, but you were, in some way, I was at the beginning of the FM rock thing. You were really the beginning of the AM Top 40 thing in Philadelphia, and this concept of good guys and Wibbage, and it was a whole wonderful, miraculous world of radio that I got kind of sucked into. I mean, you know, it was the Beatles, and it was you and Heisky and Bill Wright and Joe Niagara and all those guys, and it was in a way the forerunner of FM rock for me because it was my formative years, and it was a way that you guys created a kind of a clubhouse, this kind of this thing where you brought the audience in. I mean, I feel that you kind of brought us in to the world of music, really. I mean, you know.
I think that's really what happened, and that's what I was trying to say tonight, was that I thought that what I was doing in my early days in broadcasting was kind of frivolous. But when I suddenly realized that this was a lifestyle thing with people, and I was contributing to it, and I was going to play a small part in that.
Well, the music was becoming so much of a part of the lives of the audience.
The music,
you know?
It wasn't us. We were the purveyors, and that was the music.
But you became stars in your own right, really, in this
Yeah, kind of. Yeah.
You did.
Record hops.
Sure. And your day in and day out. I mean, it always occurred to me, like, you never really know who's listening. Don't you find that you'll say something and maybe months or years later, someone will come on and you say, I remember the time you said, or you did, or you played something, and you were just doing it as part of your job, but you're not aware at the time of the impact that you could be having on some unknown person. It's amazing.
Yeah, it is. It really is. And it still amazes me to this day because I was with a guy tonight who was painting my stepdaughter's dining room, if you can believe that. And he said, you're in radio, right? What are you doing? I was making a few notes about tonight. And then he went on for a half hour about how he wanted to be in the business and how it affected his life and the acts that he knew. And you know what? He brought up the name of, if I can only think of it, you'll know it. New York late night show host.
Alan Freed, you mean? Or,
No, beyond that.
Jack Carr, radio,
TV, but a local show, Joe Franklin.
Joe Franklin, okay.
Joe Franklin.
Sure.
And he's met him. And it turned out that his best buddy's father was a major disc jockey. Do you remember the overnight show on WNEW?
William B. Williams?
No, before William B.
I didn't grow up in New York, so
no, you're too young.
Yeah, all right.
But anyway, what I'm saying is the connection is still there. And he was just fascinated with the things that I could say to him. And I think I'm passé, not to him. He was related.
Well, you had an amazing impact. You also became music director of Wibbage.
Yep.
And, you know, our people today, we heard a lot of talk tonight about how the business has changed. And you could have said that years ago and you could say it now. But it really was different then.
Oh,
You worked for a small company, Storer Broadcasting, relatively small in today's terms. terms.
By today's terms.
And you were in a new kind of a thing, this idea of radio for teenagers, basically.
Yep.
It was, Glavit was calling them young teens, but you were really playing to teenagers. I was a teenager at the time, so I know what that was all about. We had the Beatles, the British Invasion, but you also played the Motown, you played the Philly records.
Oh, yeah.
But you actually became a leader in introducing what I call the forerunner of the FM radio revolution, which was Society's Child by Janis Ian,
Yep.
and Buffalo Springfield for What It's Worth, and maybe The Letter by the Box Tops. I don't know, there were a lot of different things that I remember specifically hearing for the very first time in my life on IBG.
Yeah.
And part of it was the jocks, but part of it was the music you were playing. I mean, did you think it was kind of courageous at the time? Did you take flack for it, or were you encouraged to do that kind of thing, or was nobody paying attention?
My head was into music, and it was, if I liked the music, and I thought I had a finger on the pulse, not to be extreme about it, but if I believed in it, that's what we played.
Did you have a consultant telling you what to do?
No.
Nothing.
Consultant,
right.
Pashui.
So the bosses said what to you? Just do what you want?
Nothing.
Nothing. Okay.
No, I was the music director, and
Right.
they went with what I did.
Right. Well, see, I became the music director of my college radio station, WRTI at the time, and I was later music director at MMR in the 70s. And I you basically were my inspiration because that was what I was doing. I was having fun playing the music that I liked, hoping that I was kind of right and that other people would like what I like.
Exactly. Well, I got credit over the years, good or bad, for having an ear. And I used to think, I don't know what this means exactly, because I was in the business of radio and also television. But when it came to music, I picked what I liked. And I could tell you that my family used to sit up till 2 o'clock in the morning listening to records that I would get. And I'd say, this is going to be a winner, that's not going to be a winner.
What's the biggest winner you think you ever picked?
Well, I don't know whether I could even answer that, but I can tell you that one of the records that I remember clearly, my wife saying, "You gotta be kidding us." And it was, and I'm not even sure that I can come up with a name, Ed, but, oh God, it was Symphony. It was a real bubblegum, not a bubblegum, but a,
Lover Symphony, or by the Toys, maybe, or no?
Yeah, that's close, but oh boy, I don't know. But there were some obscure things that I mean, there were some major hits that, I had gold records so that my wall was falling down.
How about, do you remember one that you were sure was going to go and was a big bomb and never made it?
Well, the one I remember that they were promoting the other side of the record, and the B-side became the hit was These Boots Are Made for Walking.
Sure.
With Nancy Sinatra.
I remember it well.
And probably one of the biggest singles that Frank ever had, and it was to the credit of the younger audience and his daughter. Lovers, I'm still dwelling on that other record.
Okay.
Oh, God.
All right, let's move on here.
Move on.
Career.
Yes.
You really weren't at IBG that long because it looks like you went to you went to New York, you went to Detroit, and you came back here in '69 to go to FIL. So in a span of a few years.
Yeah, it was a relative. I was at 65. I think I came to Wibbage.
Yeah.
And then by '69 I was back here again.
Yeah.
You're right. But those were the halcyon days. I mean, the halcyon days was before me, when all the guys got blown out because of Paola.
Oh, okay.
And the biggies. And there was only a few that were still remaining. Pilot was among them. But they were still major days of success.
Sure.
And then I ended up moving on.
But by the time you came back, FIL had kind of taken over from IBG.
Yes. Yep.
And then you directed FIL for quite a while.
Yep.
And then you made a real big change by going to PEN, which was really pioneering the so-called nostalgia format, big band or or whatever. Now was that different for you too? Because this was not the rock and roll music that you had been into previously.
I remember that when I went to WNEW, which was a legendary call in New York, the headlines in the papers in the entertainment section was, WNEW is going to go rock, because Dean Tyler from the Wibbage and the other was coming here. But the bottom line was, I was matriculating with, I guess, my age, and maybe my taste was shifting a little. But when I went to PEN, they wanted to know what to do. And they were doing okay, but they needed to do something sharper. Well, now, at IP, I had converted from just doing Mathis and Stephen Eady to the Neil Diamonds. And there's a little transition that I know you understand there. And it worked. So when I came back, I went to the next step. And I started getting into the more progressive stuff. But then we mixed in the big bands, and we ended up with a very, very fine mix. Purely on gut and hope. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I didn't know whether it was going to work, but it was what I believed in. And it's like I said tonight in this presentation. It was fun.
Well,
I was just rolling
that
the dice.
seems to be a continuing hallmark of your career, that you didn't just copy something everywhere you went. You really tried to create something different, something new, and something unique that an audience would latch onto. You know? And oddly enough, I mean, I remember you from on the air. You went on the air again for a few years at PEN in the late '90s, but most of your career you were not on the air. You were in management. You were the program director. You were running the show behind the scenes. How did you like me? Did you like being on the air and did you miss it, or did you?
I got on the air originally because that's what I wanted to do. I got off the air because I wanted to have more to say about the overall programming of the radio station than just my show. Mm-hmm. I ended up ultimately achieving what I wanted to on the air, and then I was offered the opportunity to go into management, and it was like widgets. You know what I mean? I was running a property, but I wasn't in touch. But I never lost touch, and that was my mistake, in that I always stayed involved in the programming as well as the management. And then when I went back on the air, at that point in time, I was ready to go back on, just for the fun of it. And Elaine and I, Elaine Sonsini, she was a lifelong friend of mine, and we had a great time doing it. But after a while, it was like, do I need to do this anymore?
That's become your claim to fame, that you were Elaine's partner, right?
I know.
In the last few
She's the superstar.
Yeah. I ironically knew Elaine because she had been a secretary at WMMR.
Exactly right.
Yep. When WMMR and WIP, which you were running at the time, were in the same building, owned by the same company. And I remember those days very clearly.
You probably knew her in the early stages better than I did.
Yeah.
But when she married Ken Garland, and we became fast friends, and we're still very, very close. And with all the other shortcomings or whatever you want to say, she's still one of my very best friends, and we had so much fun on the air. If we could have slept at the studio, so we could have gotten an extra hour before we got up, we'd still be doing it. Well, I said to her, when you're ready, I'm ready. And when she was ready, which had to do with her other life, she said, I'm ready to go. And I said, okay, we're gone. And I retired.
And how do you like that?
I hate it.
Okay. You want to come back?
I'm coming back. I'm handing out my business cards tonight. Are you kidding me?
Well, come back to MGK this time, and you can play some of the stuff you introduced when it was new.
And you know what?
And now,
it'll probably work.
Yeah. Right. Dean Tyler, thank you so much. You're inspirational to all of us, and congratulations on being inducted into the Hall of Fame tonight
by the
Broadcast Pioneers. Ed Shockey for Pioneers in Broadcasting.